Mayor Pace from the City of Hillsboro, thank you so much for letting us be in here with you today.
Thank you.
We know that within Oregon's immigrant community, there are many questions, concerns, and emotions. This space is meant to open a transparent, respectful, and constructive dialogue. So we want to better understand the work of your administration is doing and explore how we can move forward together to a greater safety, trust, and well-being for everyone. So I would like to ask this question because the community wants to hear from you. You previously stated, if we could stop ICE, we would. We understand that ICE is a federal agency, but which actions do fall under your administration's authority, and could you still be implemented to strengthen protection for the immigrant community?
Yes, so thanks for the question. I appreciate it. And there are different levels of government. So we have federal level, state level, county, and then city or municipal. Those are the different levels of government. And there's something in the Constitution called the Supremacy Clause. It's in Article 6, Paragraph 2, that basically states federal agents have authority over local agents. So over state, county, and municipal or city agents. And so if you see two agents come together, a federal agent and let's say a city agent, the federal agent and what they're doing takes precedence. And so that is why we are not legally able to stop ICE. I still stand by the statement that if we could stop ICE, we would. I would personally love to escort them all out of the state of Oregon right now, but according to the Supremacy Clause, we cannot legally do that.
Many families fear of a possible collaboration between local police and ICE. Can you clarify whether any coordination exists and what protocols are being in place to ensure that police is not or do not share information or hand over individuals to ICE?
Yes, so in Oregon, we are in what's called a sanctuary state, and that was voted on in 1987, actually way before any Trump administration came into office. And what the sanctuary state law says is that we, law enforcement officers, so not we, I'm not a law enforcement officer, but law enforcement officers in the state and state officials cannot collaborate in any way with ICE. We cannot give them information, addresses. We've even had, years ago, we've had ICE request a training facility, just a training room at the City of Hillsboro, and we denied that. So we do not in any way collaborate with ICE. That's what that means. But what it doesn't mean, when people hear sanctuary, they think I am safe from ICE. And what it doesn't mean is that when you are in the state of Oregon or in the City of Hillsboro, that you are safe from ICE. What it means is that our law enforcement will not collaborate with ICE. We won't give any information. And so if an officer, whether it's a city of Hillsboro, or a county or a state officer, if they collaborate with ICE, they're actually breaking the law and jeopardizing their job. And so, it would behoove them not to do it. And if they do, then corrective action is taken.
When ICE conducts operations, families are left behind in highly vulnerable situations. Is there a municipal support plan, legal or emotional or logistics that can be helping these cases?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do know, we've seen instances where cars are left in the middle of the road running, cars left with people inside them, children, etc. And then our officers respond and they are left to move the car off the road, get the family back with another family member. They do their best to make sure that we don't tow the car because that costs extra money to the family. So that's something that our police officers are doing right now, is that basically they're picking up the pieces of what ICE leaves behind. So that's one thing that we're doing. And we're trying to do it in such a way that is respectful to the families. As I said, we don't tow the cars to not incur extra costs and make sure people get back together. The other thing that the city is doing separate from law enforcement is that we've increased the amount of funding that we're giving to community-based organizations that are serving the Latino population, really anybody impacted by ICE activity. And so that's something that's new. So just to be clear, we have already given $200,000 out to community-based organizations. That is a natural annual thing that we do. We've added an additional $200,000 to specifically go to community-based organizations who are working with the Latino population to get them services such as legal services or rent assistance, whatever that community-based organization might deem appropriate for the families. And we did that because those community-based organizations, those nonprofits, are already there. They're already in the space. They already know the names of the families. They already know the names of the people that have been arrested by ICE, and so they know exactly who to go to right away. Okay. So that was the quickest way that we could get assistance out. And that money is going out in December.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of discussions about a perceived inaction from the City Hall. Could you share concrete actions that you're doing? As you say, you have more budget or funding for nonprofit organizations, but is any other action that you guys are taking?
Yeah, there's a few other actions that we're taking, and then other actions that we're looking into. So, I will say this: it's not the action that I want to take. It's not the action of stopping ICE. Right. That to me is the action that needs to happen. Right. I just want to say that. So the action that we're taking within the law are increasing funding. We've also declared a state of emergency. We've asked our state legislature and our congressional, so that's state and federal lawmakers, to take action against ICE, and specifically for our congressional lawmakers to do their best to do immigration reform, to try and push through immigration reform now, it's a really tough time to do that, but we've asked them, and that was with the state of emergency. We've also increased training to our city staff to make sure they know what to do when ICE comes in. We've already been doing that, but we'll continue to do that. And then the other thing is we're marking some spaces as private. So some spaces are automatically public, right? Parking lots, et cetera, those are public, and ICE can go in. We can't control their movements there. But we can mark some areas as private, with staff only, for example, or invite only, and then that means that ICE cannot enter those areas. And so we're doing that throughout the city. Those are just some of the actions we're taking. And that was with the state of emergency. The other thing we're doing is on Tuesday, coming up this Tuesday before Thanksgiving, is that we're having a special work session to entertain all the ideas that council members have come up with, to take action, to do what we can to respond to the community. What I want to say is we're trying to take action to stop ICE. These actions that are proposed do not stop ICE, but they are designed to help the community in some way. So one of them is, one counselor is trying to what we call codify our sanctuary city status, which would put it in the municipal code, making it official. Some things like that. And that's coming up on Tuesday.
Okay, it's coming Tuesday.
Yeah.
Mayor, many people in Oregon feel that the protection from the city has not been fulfilled. What would you say to those who feel this way?
I would say we're offering the protection that we're legally allowed to do at this time, and I understand why they're frustrated. I would feel frustrated. What I would love is our officers to stop ICE, but legally they cannot do that.
Why?
Because of the supremacy clause. Because they're federal officers and we are city officers, and so they outrank us. And so their actions, they have their laws and their policies that they can take action because they are empowered by the federal government, and we cannot stop that.
So what could happen to a police officer if they intervene with that?
Well, they're impeding a federal officer, and they could get arrested.
They can get arrested.
Yeah.
That's something that we usually don't understand, or the community don't understand. Like you said, there is certain levels, and you don't want to put at risk the police officers.
Well, I don't want anybody to be at risk. I mean, we have people right now that are intervening with ICE, confronting ICE, and they have been pepper sprayed, which is also an undue and unreasonable use of force that has happened to our community members. So I understand why they have confronted ICE. They've walked right up to them and yelled at them. I understand why they do it, and what resulted was they were pepper sprayed. It could have been worse, frankly. but any impediment to a federal officer allows them to take action, whether it's a community member or a city law enforcement officer. Is that if police show up to a traffic accident with ICE, and so we are filling out the report, right? We're taking the information. Click, and it shows a Hillsboro police officer with an ICE officer. They're collaborating.
Oh, yeah.
They're
that
not.
makes sense. That makes sense.
They're not.
Yeah.
Right? We're getting that a lot. Right? And so, for example, we had somebody say, can a school resource officer go out of the school and talk to ICE and say, get off our property? We can. We can do that. We can go say, get off our property. And ICE can say, no. But in that moment, when that school resource officer walks over to talk to ICE, click, they're collaborating with ICE. We're not. We're asking them to leave.
So the information can be manipulated.
Yep. Unless you are standing right there and you understand what was said between those two officers, you have no idea what's going on. The other thing is, if you are a school resource officer or any law enforcement officer and you walk up to ICE, you already know that they have authority over you. Already. Okay? So are you going to walk up aggressive? Or are you going to walk up with a smile? Hey,
Yeah.
man, you caused an accident in our city.
Right.
What's going on here? Right? So if I'm trying to get somebody to do something, somebody I already know that doesn't have to work with me, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to try and smooth it out.
Right.
I'm going to try and appeal to them and say, look, man, you're scaring the shit out of the kids. Can you not operate here? Can you leave? I have to do that with a smile on my face.
Right.
So
that's important for the community to know.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to say it, because we're getting a lot of accusations around it, and I've seen it with our officers. We've had officers respond to community members who interacted with ICE in a really tough way. And so ICE pepper sprayed them, and the officers went up to the community members and, are you okay? And the community members yelled at them, where were you? Why didn't you step in? Why didn't you help us? Right? The officers cannot intervene, right, when ICE is dealing with them. So they got yelled at by the community members. And then the officers went over to ICE and said, you tore through our parking lot. You can't do that. And the ICE officers yelled at them. Right? So they talked to the community members, they got yelled at. They talked to ICE, they got yelled at. And nothing was solved.
Yeah.
Right?
Several young people have shared that they are afraid to attend to school because they fear that their parents might be taken or not be home when they return. What coordination exists between the city and the school district, the police, to ensure that the students can attend to school and, without fear? Yes,
so I would say we have what we call school resource officers, or SROs, and they're in the schools right now. They've been in the schools pre all of this.
Right.
And they assist families and students when they have issues. And so HSD, or Hillsboro School District, has worked with the city in making sure the SROs know what's going on. And what I've seen most is the families and parent-teacher organizations have organized to have parents on the corners, manning the corners, so ICE is less likely to do a pickup or an arrest outside of the schools. And that way kids can go to school without their parents, but there's parents lining the street or at each corner so the kids can get to school safely. And our SROs know about that. They're not coordinating it, but they're helping in the sense that they know about it and they're supporting.
Many immigrants work in essential sectors, such as construction, agriculture, cleaning, restaurants, industries that support much of the Oregon economy. What specific protections are available for this type of workers?
Yeah, there aren't any specific protections right now. If they are deemed undocumented, they could be picked up by ICE. So I want to protect them. I would love to have police there, but if ICE comes, the police have to stand back because, again, ICE are federal. So we do not have specific protections for the construction workers or other, agricultural workers, et cetera. We don't have specific protections for them.
We have seen more and more cases where, community is driving, somebody's driving a car, and all of a sudden you see ice impacting their cars, like actually crushing cars, making accidents. What will you tell them to this community? Do you take action, or the police take action over?
Yes. So if there is a traffic accident in the city of Hillsboro, police will respond. You should also know that if you feel like you're being pulled over by ICE, you can call 911 and police will respond. And what the police can do in those situations, I will get back to the traffic accident. But if you are being pulled over by ICE, or you think you're being pulled over by ICE, you can call the police. The police can show up, and all they can do is ask ICE for identification. And ICE don't have to answer. So we can intervene in that sense, and it's not really an intervention, it's just asking. Most of the time, though, our police officers show up, and ICE is just finishing or leaving. Right, or they're gone because they're moving so quickly. So when you're talking about an accident, the police will show up and they will process it just like any other accident. Right, they will understand who was at fault, do a report, etc. And they will also do reports if they're called to ICE activity, as I mentioned earlier. So if you're being pulled over by ICE and you call Hillsboro Police, we will show up, we will take a report, but we cannot stop that ICE agent right now. And I see you shaking your head, and I am just as frustrated.
Yeah.
Because we have people right now being taken in our city against their will with papers, even if they didn't have papers. The way they're being taken is absolutely disgusting. And I can't really tell you how frustrated I am about it.
It is sad when we hear from the community crying that their families are being detained, and the way they are being treated in those detention places.
Yes.
It is frustrating and sad because we hear it all the time. We're listening to these families, and a lot of frustration and sadness and anxiety, and the kids are like, it's just very, very traumatic environment right now.
They're experiencing significant trauma.
Yeah.
This community is experiencing significant trauma right now. And I have heard from Representative Bonamici, who is one of our congresswomen. She's gone to the Tacoma facility. She has seen it. She has told me the deplorable conditions in which people are being detained. She is also doing what she can to take action, along with other representatives in our state and our senators as well.
Another common concern is the lack of unofficial information. The community often relies on social media or rumors, right? So to learn about the possible operation from ICE, does the city provide information in Spanish language, any channels or that provides reliable information in a timely manner?
Yes, you can go to the city website, and we have information there about how you can get assistance. For example, going to the Portland Immigration Resource Coalition. That's just one example of all the resources that we have on our website, and it's in both English and Spanish. And you can translate it if you don't speak Spanish or English, you can have it translated to another language as well. So we update that as well. So the city provides that. There's also PIRC, the Portland Immigrants' Rights Coalition, which is taking data on all the ICE activity. So you can call PIRC, and you can also go online with PIRC, and they are keeping data on that as well, on the ICE activity. And so is the State Attorney General, Dan Rayfield. So there is a form that you can fill out if you have ICE activity, and you could report it, and then you can also see where the ICE activity is happening.
We are wondering, how do you feel about all of these things happening here in our community of Hillsboro?
I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with what's happening. I'm a veteran. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. And I took an oath. I swore to uphold and defend the Constitution. And our Constitution is not being upheld right now by our federal government. right now, our federal government, the way they are conducting themselves is abhorrent. It's disgusting, the way they're treating their community members. And if I could, if there was something I could do, I would. And I think this comes down to who was voted into office, who are, President Trump, and who is leading our nation right now, and their beliefs, and what they said and what they're doing are two very different things. In some cases, what they said and what they're doing are exactly what they said they would do, as far as deportations. So it is very upsetting to me as a community member, as a person, as a veteran, and as a mayor. I am disgusted with what is happening right now. Mm-hmm.
Is the police department using cameras and sharing that information with ICE?
No. Again, that goes with the sanctuary state law. We have a sanctuary state law, and then Hillsboro is a sanctuary city that was voted in 2017. Mm-hmm. And so it is against the law for us to share data with ICE. Also, we do not have cameras mounted in our police vehicles. There has been concern about what's called flock cameras. Mm-hmm. Those cameras are not in the Hillsboro Police Department cars. We do have some cameras, but those are stationary, and those cameras are placed in parking lots. And the reason that they are placed there are to combat what's called organized retail theft, when groups of people go into shops and clear them out and then flee. Mm-hmm. Those cameras are used for that. And then any data we collect from those stationary cameras are not shared with anybody at all.
So is there anything else would you like to share?
First, I want to say that I really appreciate everybody coming in and testifying to the city. About 2 weeks ago, we had people come in and we heard 3 hours of testimony. Just a few days ago, we heard 2 hours of testimony. And I appreciate everybody coming in, and I understand their frustration. I understand why they're upset. I am upset too. I am proud to say that the City Council is united in our belief that ICE should not be operating in our city. I say that because there are other cities in Oregon and other cities in other states where they have no problem with it. And so sometimes I have to find solace in the fact that I'm in the state I am and in, where from the governor, from our senators, to our congresspeople, to the governor, all the way down to the city of Hillsboro, we are in agreement that ICE should not be here. ICE should not be operating the way they're operating and showing such incredible disrespect to our nation, frankly, and to our community members. So I just want people to know that we don't want them here. We don't want them here, and if we could kick them out, we would.
Mayor Pace, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, your participation. We really appreciate it, and we will try to be here close to the city of Hillsboro, supporting in any way, to the most vulnerable people.
Yeah, sure. Can I add some more stuff?
Sure.
Yeah. I appreciate what some community members are doing to support others. So we have grassroots organizations where they are collecting food and giving it to families. They're collecting money and giving it to families. I know teachers who are giving rides to students so they can get to school. And I'm really, I don't know how to say the word. I'm really proud of the way Hillsboro has come together, how the communities come together to support one another and to help families that are being impacted by ICE. And I've seen that across the city, and that it's so uplifting to me to see that. And we are infusing money into some community-based organizations, as I mentioned, to help with those efforts.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.